Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. I know it's exciting. State of the City Day, most exciting day of the year. Welcome to the El Cajon City Council meeting. The meeting is now called to order, and I'd like to ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Colasso is absent. All other council members are present.
Thank you very much. Would you please stand with me for the Pledge of Allegiance or remain standing for a brief moment of silence? And I'd like to ask Mayor Pro Tem Gary Kendrick to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yeah, they're going to give it to you as you walk down there. Okay.
Prior to introducing the State of the City, I invite City Council and staff to join me in the audience. After the Mayor's State of the City address, we'll be adjourned, and I invite you to join us in the City Hall lobby for some refreshments. It is my pleasure to introduce Mayor Bill Wells. The time is now yours.
Thank you, Gary. Welcome, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the 2018 City of El Cajon State of the City Address. It's been my honor and privilege to serve as mayor. I appreciate being part of this community, and I value the trust you have placed in me to serve. I gratefully acknowledge my City Council colleagues that are here today, Mayor Pro Tem Gary Kendrick, Steve Goebel, and Councilman Bob McClellan. Where are you, Bob? Oh, you're over here. Hi. You're invisible. I'd like to also welcome some of our other elected officials to here today. I see Karen Mejia in the office from the Cajon Valley School Board. And of course, Laura Koval, who just got elected in Santee. Are there any other elected officials I'm missing today? I would hate to do that. Okay. And, of course, so many close friends and colleagues, people that work with all of us in so many different aspects of civic life. Thank you for being here today. I would also like to acknowledge our city management's team. One reason this is such an exciting time in El Cajon is that over the last year, we have brought on talented individuals to augment our city staff. This includes several new department directors. We have a new assistant city manager named Vince DiMaggio. Vince, where are you? Hey, Vince. And we also have, of course, our new city manager, Graham Mitchell. There are so many dedicated and talented employees who help our city to operate. I would like to acknowledge each of their efforts. I also wish to acknowledge our police chief, Jeff Davis, and our fire chief, Steve Swaney, who are both in the audience today. This past year has been an exciting one for the city of El Cajon. It's my opportunity to present the State of the City address and to celebrate our achievements. This address will also, it allows me to address and challenge the challenges we faced and we will continue to confront in the year ahead. I'm proud to report that the state of our city is outstanding. I believe that the city is moving in the positive direction. We have relied on innovation and creative thinking to tackle difficult issues, and we have maintained the city's strong fiscal health at a time when other cities have struggled. We have preserved our strength as a city in spite of ever-increasing overreach by the state of California's government. This past year alone, we have felt the impact from the state legislature as they passed bills such as SB 54, the Sanctuary State Law, and a recent street vending law which threatens our ability to regulate how our streets and parks are used. I know many of you are as concerned as I am about the homeless situation in El Cajon. Here, too, actions from the state have undermined our efforts. The voter-approved legalization of recreational marijuana use, the lowering of felony crime thresholds, and the lack of virtually any financial assistance to local governments to address mental health issues have all contributed to a dramatic increase in homelessness, not only here, but statewide. Despite these hindrances, we are working diligently with our community's nonprofit partners, County Social Services, the East County Homeless Task Force, and others to find real solutions to the homeless issue. This work will continue throughout the next year. Over the past year, the City Council and I have focused on many priorities. If you want to categorize the city's major accomplishments in 2018, they fall into 4 primary objectives. Number 1 is public safety. Second, neighborhood improvements. Third, economic development. And 4th, fiscal responsibility. I wish to highlight several achievements related to these 4 efforts. As far as public safety goes, I'm proud of the men and women who make up our city's police and fire departments. The dedication personified by these fine individuals reflect well upon our city, and they demonstrate the importance we have placed on public safety. To be a public servant in this capacity is difficult and often dangerous work. To all public safety personnel, you have all of our thanks. I'd like to give them a round of applause. I often find myself humbled and inspired by the acts of heroism and the willingness of our staff to put themselves into dangerous situations. As all of us understand, our police officers and firefighters are responders to emergency. They save lives and they protect us. Additionally, I recognize that many of them serve our community in many other ways. These men and women, many times acting outside of their job duties, help educate young people, serve as role models, and help when nobody else will. I'd like to highlight several public safety accomplishments from 2018. This past year, the city implemented an innovative approach to responding to medical calls through the fire squad. Rather than sending a heavy fire engine or truck out of Station 6, we have been sending a specially outfitted pickup truck, which we call Squad 6, to medical calls. Squad 6 has made over 4,000 calls this year. During the past year, the city's police department, along with the city attorney's office, shut down several marijuana dispensaries by engaging in 5 raids and making 18 arrests. The city served 5 search warrants and impounded 1,409 pounds of marijuana and almost $70,000 in cash. The confiscated marijuana, along with 1,000 pounds of edibles, is valued at over $4 million in product that was illegally being sold. Since 2014, the city has shut down 57 illegal marijuana dispensaries. Also, you may not be aware, but suicide rates among first responders now outnumber line-of-duty deaths. In response to this, the city's fire department proactively implemented a vital peer support group program for our public safety staff. Lastly, the city's most significant capital project in 2018 was the completion of the new animal shelter. This 14,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility will serve our community for many years to come. Using public safety bonds, the project cost approximately $10 million and came in under budget. I believe this new facility is the best animal shelter in San Diego County and will be a safe and comfortable shelter for animals in need. In addition to public safety, improving our neighborhoods is also vital. This past year, the city of El Cajon has been a leader in addressing the homeless crisis that our region, and in truth, all of California, is experiencing. While taking on this challenge, the city has strengthened its partnerships with the East County Transitional Living Center, the East County Chamber of Commerce, Crisis House, the Salvation Army, and the County of San Diego. Working with Crisis House and the Salvation Army, we are proactively seeking homeless individuals who want housing. Through the Housing Navigator, Housing Assistance Funds, and the Way Back Home program, the city has helped over 90 individuals find permanent housing, individuals that were recently homeless in our community. El Cajon's approach is a two-pronged approach. While we do provide extensive options for anyone who wants housing, we are also doing everything we can to ensure that our city is safe. The city has taken a zero-tolerance stance on violations such as trespassing, illegal drug use, consuming alcohol in public. Unlike some other cities, we do not tolerate tent cities on our sidewalks or encampments in our parks. I believe that our parks are for families and children. Through an interdepartmental team, the city has proactively cleaned up areas devastated by trash and debris left by the homeless. If left unchecked, this waste would deteriorate neighborhoods, lower property values, and attract criminal behavior. Since September of this year, the city has collected over 30 tons of trash from our streets, sidewalks, and alleyways, and another 112 tons removed from the city's stormwater channels and waterways. I am inspired by people like Kathy Pillman and Councilman Goebel and a group of dedicated citizens who have on their own started the cleanup crew. This group, in just a few months, has removed over 12,000 pounds of trash, which was once polluting our community. I call on the County of San Diego to invest even more of its federal homeless funding to construct supportive housing and to help those with mental illness issues and drug and alcohol addictions. Maintaining our infrastructure is another vital mission of the city. I am pleased to announce that in 2018, the city improved over 1 million square feet of street pavement, completed the $15 million Johnson Avenue sewer project, installed 25,000 square feet of new sidewalks and 40 sidewalk ramps at intersections. To help ensure that the city's housing stock is maintained, 2018 was the first full year in which the city's apartment inspection program was in full force. Through this program, the city inspected 180 apartment complexes and over 3,000 apartment units to ensure that basic housing standards are being met. In 2018, the city was awarded $5 million in SANDAG capital grant funds for street improvements. This investment of grant funds in the city's infrastructure will stimulate development in the new transit district specific plan area. Also in 2018, the city received 2 critical park-related grants. First, the city received a grant from the National Recreation and Park Association named the 10-Minute Walk Grant. With this grant, the city has begun exploring how to make parks more accessible to all of our residents and visitors. Also, the city was awarded the USA Swim Grant, which allows us to teach over 100 fourth graders to swim. This grant is important to our community, given that drowning is the second leading cause of preventable death nationwide for those 14 years old and younger. Finally, I'm pleased to announce that after a year of being closed, the sewer laterals at Wells Park has been fully repaired, meaning that the park's restrooms are now again open. I recognize that Wells Park is a vital community asset. We have applied resource and tremendous effort to reclaim the park for all of our families and children to enjoy. I'm excited that the second phase of improvements at the park has commenced. Beginning in early 2019, the park's perimeter fence will be installed. A public safety officer will be established. Park rangers and recreation staff will be situated and stationed at the park. And the city will continue to seek a company to develop soccer fields. The third stated priority is ensuring that the local economy is growing, healthy, and resilient to economic downturns. As goes the economy, so goes the ability of the city to fulfill its responsibilities. This past year, El Cajon has seen one of the busiest years of development in virtually all sectors: commercial, industrial, and residential. One of the most exciting projects begun this year is the multi-million-dollar remodeling of the East County Performing Arts Center. In 2018, the city finalized a deal with Live Nation to manage ECPAC. Live Nation is the world's largest entertainment management firm. Since last summer, the city has been rehabilitating the 40-year-old building that has been closed for nearly a decade. Construction is expected to finish late spring or early summer, with Live Nation scheduling events starting in September of 2019. When completed, this new state-of-the-art center will be an entertainment destination not only in San Diego County, but across Southern California for high-caliber live concerts and performances. In 2018, after years of negotiation, the city sold its former police station and issued permits to redevelop the site with a brand new Hampton Inn by Hilton Hotels. This includes an In-N-Out Burger, other casual dining outlets such as Blaze Pizza, California Fish Grill, and the Urban Cafe. The first phase of construction is anticipated to conclude next summer, with the entire project completed by the summer of 2020. Earlier this year, the Main Ranch single-family development project began construction. This 139-unit housing subdivision is the largest subdivision in El Cajon since the 1980s. The Cornerstone Place housing complex also commenced in 2018. This 70-unit project will provide vital, affordable housing to local families and veterans, including those that are currently unhoused. A demand for more industrial space in El Cajon has resulted in a new 120,000 square foot development on Marshall Avenue. This project will provide much needed space for advanced manufacturers and entrepreneurs. Earlier this year, the City Council adopted the Transit District Specific Plan. This plan should initiate commercial investments in the area around the Marshall Avenue trolley station and could yield up to 1,800 new housing units. I believe that this area of the city could see a rebirth in the next few years. Lastly, prior to the Courtyard by Marriott opening earlier this year, some questioned whether a top-rated hotel could survive in the downtown El Cajon area. I know none of you said that, but others. I'm proud to say to both the believers and the skeptics that the Courtyard has been an absolute success. Among other courtyards, the hotel ranks among the highest nationwide in customer feedback and is currently in the top 3 of all courtyards in California. The Courtyard has experienced an occupancy rate much, much higher than was initially anticipated. The last priority I want to address is the city's commitment to being fiscally responsible and a good steward to the taxpayers. It is one of my primary goals, and I know that the City Council supports this aim, to ensure that when tough financial times come, the city does not have to compromise public safety or cut corners that will deteriorate the quality of life enjoyed by our residents and our businesses. I'm happy to report that the city recently closed its books on last year's budget, and our city's finances are strong. This means we have a balanced budget. Since the recession of 2008, like many cities, El Cajon has toiled to recover from its losing 26% of its annual sales tax revenue. I'm happy to report that the city has bounced back exceedingly well. However, we have remained vigilant in protecting our commitment to sound fiscal practices. Because of this, our financial reserves are greater than required. I believe that these are necessary because of the economic uncertainty and the certainty that the pension costs will continue to rise. The city's prudent budget efforts have had an impact on the city's fiscal health. Last year, the city generated $6.6 million more in general fund revenues than was spent. This is a greater than expected outcome. These additional funds will help the city complete several important one-time capital improvement projects. This surplus of revenue will also help the city brace for 2 fiscal threats mentioned earlier: the potential of an economic downturn and the cost of looming pension costs. In the past 5 years, the city's annual pension costs have increased by 104%. We forecast that our annual costs will increase by another 49% over the next 5 years. We have absolutely no control over the fact that over the next 5 years, the city will be forced to pull over $30 million out of anticipated revenues. Over the next year, I encourage my colleagues, staff, and the community to be committed to protecting the city's fiscal health, especially given the threats that I see ahead for us. In 2019, I aim to work with my colleagues, city staff, and the community to making further progress on our goals. Next year, I look forward to reporting back on several significant projects that the city will be working on. Number 1, maintaining our fiscal health and continue our commitment to a balanced budget. Addressing the impacts of homelessness and working with neighboring cities, the county, and other partners on this issue. Reopening the East County Performing Arts Center with Live Nation as our partner. Working with developers in repurposing the closed Sears store at Parkway Plaza. Our goal is to create an active retail space that uses and modernizes the appearances of the mall. Working with MTS to develop a high-quality housing development at the El Cajon Transit Station. This project will be a catalyst for future development in this area. And something I think is very important, making our streets safer by curbing reckless driving and speeding and increasing pedestrian safety. We have to make that a top priority. And lastly, focusing on vice issues, such as cleaning up our motels, addressing illegal gambling, and shutting down marijuana dispensaries. In closing, not only am I proud to report that the state of the city is excellent, I'm genuinely excited about the direction our city is going. I believe that we are addressing our challenges in a responsible manner, and we are providing tangible, positive results for our residents. In 2019, we will continue to improve safety, invest in our neighborhoods, strengthen our economy, and fortify our fiscal condition. And finally, on a personal note, I know I speak for the entire City Council in telling you that we are very proud of this city. Like any city of our size, we have challenges and problems, but time and again, we've seen the indomitable spirit of our friends and neighbors. El Cajon is a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Recently, we had a Christmas tree lighting ceremony where thousands of people were in the streets, mostly families with kids. Everybody got together and sang and excitedly counted down 10, 9, 8, all the way to 1 where the Christmas tree went on and it lit and the kids were all excited, and it was a wonderful occasion. And I remember thinking how proud I was to be part of this and to be aligned with all these fine people. May God bless you and keep you well in the coming new year, and may all of you prosper and excel. Please join us in City Hall next door for a short reception before the really exciting thing of the City Council meeting at 3 o'clock. Thank you very much. Chief? All right, there's food over there. Let's go get it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the City Council meeting. We're going to continue from the last meeting, but I think we need to do the roll again. Is that true? Please do.
All council members are present. Okay.
The city clerk posted orders of adjournment of the November 13th, 2018 meeting and the agenda of the December 11th, 2018 meeting in accordance with state law, council, and housing authorities policy. All right. I would like to ask the city clerk to recite the results of the November 6th, 2018 election.
The San Diego County Register of Voters has canvassed the results of the November 6, 2018 election and declares the results for mayor of El Cajon and city council member for District 1 as follows. For mayor, Bill Wells, 14,803 votes. Joel A. Scalzitti, 6,295 votes. And Robert M. Weaver, Jr., 1,917 votes. For City Council Member, District 1, Gary Kendrick, 6,826 votes, and Ben Calascio, 1,281 votes. It is staff recommendation that the City Council adopts the next resolution and order declaring the results of the November 6, 2018 election for Mayor and District 1 Council Member.
Thank you. At this time, the council is being asked to consider a resolution declaring the election results. Does the council have any questions?
Move the recommendation for the results.
Second. Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. The oath of office will now be administered by our city clerk. Me first.
If I can have you raise your right
Yes.
hand.
I, Bill Wells,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
upon which
I am about to enter.
I am about to enter.
Congratulations, sir.
Well, thank you all so much. Thank you for coming to the State of the City. I've been talking at you for a long time, so I'm going to make it short and quick. But I just want to tell you that I couldn't be more humbled and honored to have this position of being mayor of your city. I know that I partner with all of you in this, and that everybody in this room cares about what happens to the city and where we're going from here. And I'm glad to have you as partners and friends. I specifically want to mention my wife, Dr. Betty Wells. Would you stand up, honey? Who has been my best friend and my wife and my confidant and my political strategist and telling me how to do things I don't know how to do, which is a lot of things. So she guides me and helps me along, and I thank you very much. And thank all of you for coming today, and God bless you all.
If I can please have you raise your right hand. Say I, state your name.
I, Gary Kendrick,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support and defend
I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies,
against all enemies,
foreign and domestic,
foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties
discharge the duties upon which
I am about to enter.
I am about to enter. Well, there are a few people I want to thank. First of all, my son Jesse, who was my campaign manager, worked 16 hours a day for 3 months. And I want to thank my colleagues for making this such a pleasant place to be and for truly caring about El Cajon. And I want to thank our wonderful staff and the 300 employees of the city of El Cajon who really care about the people of El Cajon. And all of you, thank you so much.
All right, this time we'll take a short recess for pictures of friends and family, and we'll resume in 15 minutes.
I do.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to get started and continue. We have no presentation on today's agenda. Staff, do you have any agenda changes?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Council member, any agenda changes today?
No.
All right. That brings us to consent items. Consent items are routine matters enacted by one motion. According to the recommendation listed below, with the concurrence of the City Council, a council member or person in attendance may request discussion of a consent item at this time. Council members, do you wish to pull any of the consent items? Mr. Goebel.
I'd like to pull item 18.
Okay, anybody else? All right, staff, do you wish to pull any consent items?
No, sir.
Angela, do we have your speaker card for consent items?
We do, sir. We have item 8, 9, and 17.
All right, let's start with the speakers then. Speaker for number 8.
Speaker for number 8 and 9 is Ms. Bonnie Price.
All right, Bonnie, can you do yours together, or do you want to do them separately?
Well, I tried to do them together.
I'll give you as much time as you need. Go ahead and do what you have to say. What you have to say. Are you 17 as well?
Pardon me?
Are you 8, 9, and 17?
No, just 8 and
8 and
9.
9.
All right, you've got the mic for 8 and 9.
Okay. I tried actually to just use one card, but I had to use 2 because I was requested to do so. That's a monumental waste of paper. So I looked at this, both of these, number 8 and 9, and I have a question. Why are these sole source? I used to do consulting for public agencies, and usually when I saw sole source, that was a communication that said, don't bid because somebody already knows they're getting this job. So why would we have to have a sole source for the elevator and the wireless systems? There are a lot of sellers in that business.
All right, I'm going to pass that on to our staff.
So, Mr. Mayor and members of the council, the contract for the elevator is actually a continuation of a contract that we're in. And last year we planned to spend about $25,000. So the cost of increase isn't dramatic. So we felt that that was necessary. It's pretty specialized work, and we have gone out to bid, but we're in a period where we don't have to go out to bid at this time. For the radio maintenance, we're also in that same consideration where we've just finished an initial bid, and this is a continuation of that bid.
All right. Makes sense. Any more questions, Bonnie?
Wow, what was the original?
Mr. Mayor, I apologize. These are, Mr. Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Mitchell. These are actually went out to bid, but they were the sole responsive bidders. So it's not a sole sourcing in this case. We only got either one bid or one responsive bid in each case.
Yeah. Well, as I said, long ago, that was a definite sign to anyone else who wanted to bid, don't bid. So that's what I'm talking about. I hope that that's not the case here.
Well, it sounds like it went out to bid and only one company decided to respond. So
yeah,
that's not much we can do about
Got
that.
it.
Thank you for bringing it up. And how about 17 then?
For 17, we had 2 speakers. The first one is Stephanie Harper.
And Ms. Harper, welcome.
Hi. I just had some questions. So I was wondering if we were building a substation or building a station at the park. Does anybody know?
17? Mm-hmm. You want to go ahead and
Mr. Mayor, we currently lease a portion of a city-owned facility to the Boys and Girls Club. It's on the very western edge of the park. There's a portion of that Boys and Girls Club that's no longer needed by the Boys and Girls Club. So we're going to repurpose what's now operates as a gym, a small gymnasium with weights, into an actual office space. That's the area where we're going to have our public safety staff. That's where the 2 park rangers will be housed out of, and we will have some recreation staff there as well. But in order to convert what's now essentially a gym into an actual office space with a front door and office equipment and all the data needed, there's a need for some upgrades or some TIs.
And we have Propo money available for that.
We have Proposition O money available, and this is an eligible expenditure.
All right.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure you guys were utilizing the building that was already there. I'm glad to hear it. Also, there is a basketball court that's also on that side of that property. Are you guys going to let that open to the community so they can play basketball? I took a picture of a little boy playing basketball, and he had to go get his basketball from the other side of the gate, and it's like, why weren't they able to use it? So if we're going to be utilizing it, that would be really nice for the community. That's all.
Thank you. We'll look into that. I don't know the answer to the question.
For item 17, Jeremiah Perez.
Hello, sir. Welcome.
Again.
Thank you so much. By way of introduction, my name is Jeremiah J. Perez, and today, well, first off, thank you for the mayor and the city council members and everybody else to include the civic personnel. So it's really important to say this. Anybody that works for the city or that's employed by the state of California is a civil servant. And as somebody, now I pivot, as somebody that's worked for the federal government for over 10 years as a federal contractor and for the Pentagon, Department of Homeland Security, my role there was to procure federal government contracts to include omnibus contracts, all sorts of stuff, right? Sole source solicitor. So I say that to say my interest today relies on number 17. I believe, if I may turn to 17, I believe, as to do with parks and recs and public safety. I believe. Yes, public safety substation at Wells Park. Again, my name is Jeremiah J. Perez. I'm homeless, gay, and disabled, right? And so I ambulate on crutches, and recently I was unfortunately attacked on the bus, sliced open, right? Right, on the bus in the ADA section. Unfortunately, my power wheelchair was stolen, and now I ambulate on crutches again, but one of them is broken. But I say that to say, as a homeless person, right, a high earner with a master's degree, a law degree that worked at the Pentagon, Department of Homeland Security, have a couple security clearances and worked and do a lot of community work. For example, in Oceanside at the public library, where I was a teacher. But I can't get into the library here because of my crutches. I can't pass go because of a lot of things. I can't stay at a lot of homeless shelters. But currently, I sleep on the streets and on the sidewalks. And yes, at Wells Park, where I stayed, at the crisis house, I've stayed all over East County. And unfortunately, there isn't a lot of resources. And so I just challenge everybody here in the room to think about the seniors, right? The seniors and the people without homes, and why and how there isn't a lot of, I believe 40 tents was allocated for a certain, but I'm just curious to understand, where should we go? Oh, there was no vouchers, right? So there was 2 days, and some homeless people got vouchers. I wasn't one of them, right, for the rain. And the spider bites, right? That's why my hand's a bit puffy, but it's no big deal. I'm just trying to understand. Well, I guess the direct question is all I receive is SNAP. I don't get any benefits as it relates to federal. But my question is where is the best place for food, shelter, and water so I can reintegrate with humanity?
Graham, can we get him connected with our homeless navigator?
Absolutely.
We've actually hired somebody to help people like you and navigate the system, and I hope that works out really well. Feel free to keep in contact with us and let us know if you need more help. There's also the East County Transitional Living Center that we can get you connected with, and lots of other places. So I think you came to the right place, and somebody here will help you find access to resources.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Mayor Wilson. I believe Councilmember Ben Colosso donated a power wheelchair, and it was taken by Public Works. So, I look forward to the follow-up discussion, because we're all trying to determine, is there a graveyard for power mobility devices taken off the sidewalk? Mayor?
Yeah, we can have somebody look into that.
It happened just the other day. So
I'm sure we can look into that situation as well. Thank you very much.
It's a $50,000 device, a power mobility device. So somebody I had it, but it's gone.
Make sure you check in over here and find out where we can contact you.
I'm sorry, Mayor. Who are you pointing to? Just so I can understand, so I can follow.
With our city.
Great. Okay. City Manager
Graham will help you.
Graham Mitchell. Great. And again, I am a resource, right? As somebody with a master's degree and sit on boards, I'm not here to agitate. I'm a resource, a volunteer, right? I'm mentally, physically incapacitated, and I volunteer across America.
Thank you for coming.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good luck with you. All right, then, Councilman Goebel, 18.
Just one question for staff. Reducing 4 lanes to 3 is always a concern rather than going 3 lanes to 4. How do the residents of that area feel about the project?
Mr. Goebel, I'm going to invite our Public Works Director, Dirk Epperson, to address that.
Mayor, council members, thank you. The question is how do our residents know what we're doing and what we're going to be putting out there on Washington Street? This project derived from the citizens. originally, and I've got a few photos that I prepared here just to kind of share, if I may. This project originally, as you know, existing has 4 lanes with no turn lane in the middle. And so we began to experience lots of collisions out on that street. There's no two-way left turn lane in the middle, and so people were stopping in the number 1 lane in order to make a left-hand turn onto side streets. And we have a high number of collisions, rear-end collisions out on this street. For the most part, there are lots of residential homes along the street and a school at one end of the project. And at the other end, it meets Dehesa Road where it's 2 lanes. And so we received a lot of feedback from the residents, lots of calls. In fact, there were many news articles where a 15-year-old boy was struck out there. There are lots of vehicles ending up in people's side yards and backyards. Within the last 10 years, in fact, a semi-truck went through a backyard and killed a gentleman that was in the backyard. He pushed his daughter out of the way to save her life. And so there's, for a mostly residential area, there's a lot of speeding. There's a lot of kind of reckless driving along here. So what we're looking at doing is the capacity of a 4-lane road is about 34,000 vehicles per day. What we have and what we're experiencing out there is about 12,000 vehicles per day. So safety, as the mayor mentioned in his address earlier, safety is paramount. And what we're looking at is trying to make this as safe as possible. So we're adding two flashing crosswalks so that students and residents can cross safely. We're also adding that 2-way left turn lane. And in order to do that, we are going from 4 lanes to 3 lanes, as you said. But it's something that, by doing that, will only reduce the amount of volume capacity on that to about 19,000, which, again, we only have 12,000 vehicles per day on that road. So we're well within our capacity while increasing the amount of safety. A couple other safety items that we are installing are street lights and those crosswalks, as I mentioned earlier. And so we've been receiving lots of concerned comments from residents in the area. Some of them even end up on the news. There's a picture of that semi-truck that ended up in the backyard there. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just seeing, has the neighborhood had a chance to weigh in with their opinion, and it sounds like it's a great answer to their concerns.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? No. Steve, do you want this singled out, or do you feel we can vote on all of them at the same time? All right. Any more cards?
No more cards, sir.
Great. Would somebody like to make a motion then in regard to the consent agenda?
I'll move that we accept the consent agenda items 1 through 18.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
This brings us to public comment. At this time, any person may address a matter within the jurisdiction of the City Council Housing Authority, successor agency to the El Cajon Redevelopment Agency, that is not on the agenda. Comments relating to items on today's agenda are to be taken at the time that the item is heard. State law prohibits discussion or action on items not on the agenda. However, City Council and Housing Authority members may briefly respond to statements or questions. An item may be placed on a future agenda. Angela, do we have any cards under public comment?
We have 4 speakers. The first speaker is Stephanie Harper.
Hi, Stephanie. Welcome.
Hello again. Okay, I know I usually come up here and just go off, but I do want to get everybody's attention on this, that we have a councilman up here who has been above and beyond doing what they're supposed to be doing. Councilman Global, I want to really give you applause because 18 items that you did this past month was just awesome. You are so involved with our community and you're so out there. You're listening to the citizens. You're going to their homes. You're speaking to them. You're dealing with the community. And I think that's awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Also, I wanted to know how we go about changing the hours of our council meeting. I know we have a meeting after this one. It's like at 7. maybe if we switched them, more people could attend this meeting and be more involved with the city. And I think that would make our community a lot stronger, is if we felt like we really had a voice, except for just the voices who can happen to be here. Could we get a petition or something going, or how do we do that?
I think a council member would have to put it on the agenda as an agenda item.
Okay, and the last one was, the last meeting, I noticed that there was a gentleman here that was asking about the waste management, the collection and stuff like with that. So I went in and I started doing a little bit of research, and I noticed that the California Cartwright Act allows for private parties to sue under this act when you seem like you're making a monopoly that nobody else can do this for you except for this person, and it's not somebody that you chose. And I was just wondering maybe if the city attorney could answer that for me about how that is legal.
Mr. Attorney, you want to get into that right now, or should we?
Well, the city has an exclusive franchise, which is allowed by law, and it's not a creation of a monopoly because it doesn't address statewide or a larger sort of area. I'm not familiar with the Cartwright Act, but I can feel confident in saying that it's not illegal.
So it's not illegal to say that that's the only person that you can use for that? Is that that's it?
There's actually a reasoning for us doing that, and that's because in some places where they have multiple trash deliveries coming, they'll have large trash trucks coming down the streets 3, 4, 5 times a week as opposed to once a week. It's disruptive to people's lives for the loud trucks, and it's hard for the roads. So most smaller cities choose one trash hauler and give that person a contract for a period of time. It just so happens that contract is coming up in 2020, and multiple companies are going to be bidding to be that trash hauler. So there is a process, and you get to be involved in that. There will be public hearings about that, so you can weigh in as to who you think is the best.
Okay, that was it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Brenda Hammond.
Hi, Brenda. Welcome.
Hi. Hi, Graham. Mr. Mitchell. I didn't write anything down because this just happened. I found out the night before last that we lost somebody in the community that did a lot for El Cajon and La Mesa and Lemon Grove. Isla Ruth Divine passed on the 6th. So I brought you this awesome picture of her. She was a professional clown as well, Miss AmeriClown. So I just brought this for you. And so I wanted to tell you all Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry for your loss of your friend.
Well, this is a loss for the community. I don't know if you know this, but she would do garage sales once a year. She would get everybody, half of El Cajon in one weekend and half the next weekend, and she would get the whole community involved.
Sounds like a great person.
Yeah. Some of you may know.
Thank
you. Like Mr. McClellan, maybe.
Thanks for coming.
Bonnie Price.
Hey, Bonnie, welcome.
Yes. Last meeting, the council approved the arrangement with East County Transitional Living Center for their homeless people to be working for the city, picking up trash. And I applaud that. However, I was reminded that several years ago, Bob Clark and I and Ray Lutz and Gloria Martis did an investigation of how they were running their business at the East County Transitional Living Center. And we learned from some folks who lived there that they were required to go to the Arizona Diamondbacks and work 12-hour shifts, signing documents that they were volunteers, so they never got paid. And I'm wondering if that's going to help happen again, only this time it'll be the city of El Cajon.
I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that, but thank you for telling us. We'll certainly look into it.
Okay.
Our last speaker is Jim Sitigliano.
Hi, Jim. Welcome.
Hello, Mayor, council, staff. Just real quick, I wasn't going to comment on this till the end, but what Stephanie said about comments about the meetings, changing them, I was going to suggest that most of the city's business should be handled first and put the public comments at the end of the meeting. That might help with those people who have a time factor. Okay, just a suggestion. Again, about Councilman Goebel, I want to thank him for coming to one of our meetings, and he brought along the people from PACE, who did a wonderful presentation, and he did bring up a few other things at the meeting, and he answered a lot of good questions for us. And thank you. Also, City Manager Mitchell, thank you for your meeting, your very frank meeting. And I like frankness only because it allows for truthfulness and from ongoing communication. Thank you. And I look forward to speaking to you about some material. Thank you very much. Let's see. And then, of course, to Angela and staff, Jackie and Carol, who've always been so nice to me. And even the city attorney's office has allowed me to find out some things about the delinquent sewer charges. And it happens that my park is the very same park, Villanovia, that is delinquent on that last thing for over $15,000. Okay? And I'm going to pursue this a little bit more because we are probably paying the delinquent charges through our rent when this happens. Let's see. I do read the New York Times quite a bit, and David Brooks, who is a very conservative gentleman, who sometimes I agree with and do not agree with. But he quotes this here, what he calls a social catastrophe in our country. And it applies to the cities all over the nation also. We need more moral, communal, and sociological effectiveness. We wound up talking too much about economics, or economy, and not about relationships. And this is very important moving into the new year. A councilman here quoted about being fearless one time, and I appreciated that statement because when you understand what fear is, you can become fearless. Every time it comes up, and you speak from your heart with some facts, and you have nothing to fear. Let's see. There isn't too much more I have to understand, but no matter how you wish to celebrate the holidays, what faith you are, or anything like this here, I wish everyone a happy holiday season, and I look forward to working with the City Council and the staff. I thank you for your time.
To you too, sir.
No more cards, sir.
All right. That brings us then to public hearings. Item number 19 is regarding dockless vehicles, and I'll ask staff to tell us about this.
Hi, good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Ryan Villegas. I'm an intern with the City of El Cajon with the City Manager's Department as well as Human Resources. I've been privileged to work on the dockless vehicles project together with the Planning Department since it was first discussed a few months ago, and I'm here before you today to present to you proposals to amend the city's municipal code to consider dockless vehicles. So you may recall a few months ago, the City Council expressed concern over the growing presence of dockless bikes and scooters in the city. Some of the growing concerns that were expressed were the obstruction of the sidewalks and the rights-of-way for pedestrians and persons with disabilities, abandoned bikes and scooters, as well as a lack of responsiveness from the companies to come and collect their vehicles. So next, the City Council requested that staff conduct research to address these issues, and so today we're here to present a set of amendments to the municipal code that will address these concerns. So some of the highlights of the proposed municipal code amendments are the addition of Chapter 10.26, which covers the operation of dockless vehicles. There is a formal definition of dockless vehicles within there. It also outlines permissive use of dockless vehicles for users, and then it also does address abandoned dockless vehicles. It does provide the city with a mechanism to be able to encourage companies to be able to come and collect their vehicles or their bikes and scooters because it does apply the city's fee schedule to the dockless vehicles. And then ultimately, these amendments do regulate the use of dockless vehicles unless there is a formal agreement established between the city and a company. So I would like to highlight briefly what the amendments do not do. They do not prohibit the possession or use of regular bikes or scooters, traditional bikes or scooters. They don't impact skateboards. And then also I do want to emphasize that it does not restrict the use of dockless vehicles in the city. So if someone were to ride into the city from La Mesa, from Santee on the trolley, then the same rules and laws that apply to traditional bikes apply to these vehicles too as well. So they're just not allowed to be ridden on the sidewalks. They just may be ridden in the roadway. And then finally, of course, it does not restrict companies from entering into a business agreement with the city if they wish to do so. So staff does believe that these proposed amendments to the municipal code do address the needs of the city because it does ensure the safety of the pedestrians, it does combat the issue of abandoned dockless vehicles, and then also considers future possible changes in the market. Earlier this summer, when we were first conducting research for this, at the time, bicycles were the only issue in the city, but then around October or so is when the scooters came into the market. So we were careful to try to craft language that would try to anticipate any future changes in the market. So therefore, staff does recommend that you consider the ordinance before you, which would amend the city's municipal code to consider dockless vehicles. So at this time, I'm open to answer any questions that you may have.
Let me see if there are any questions. Well, thanks very much. That was a comprehensive report. Now, you're an intern, right?
Yes, I am.
That's a pretty big thing to do.
I'm very excited to do it.
Did you enjoy this process?
Absolutely.
You ready to become city manager?
Perhaps.
Okay. All right, thank you. So we may need to call you back if there's more questions that come up. Thank you very much. Okay, Angela, do you have any speaker cards on this item?
No, sir, no cards.
Okay. Then, so I need to open the public hearing, but then since there are no cards, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote. Sir, did you want to say something? You're going to have to fill out a speaker card afterwards, but go ahead and come up. I want everybody to get their chance to speak. So the public hearing is open.
My apologies and thank you so much. Just kudos to the City of El Cajon's mayor because as somebody that hangs out in PB, those dockless carts are super dangerous. The sidewalks, that are very dangerous as it is, and those they go 30 miles per hour, which require a helmet on Pacific Beach. And there's a law that says any motor vehicle, right, as somebody that rides in a mobility device, I compete with those scooters everywhere, and it's like a snowboarder. Injuries to children, seniors, disabilities, and liability for the city of El Cajon. Somebody cracks their head, they sue the city on those things. Keep them out of El Cajon.
Thank you.
It's my recommendation.
Thank you.
Not in a pejorative way.
I'd like to make a motion then to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. Council, any further discussion or something? I'd like to make a motion. Mr. Goebel?
I'd like to get some clarification from staff on the definition section. In the staff report at section 9.42.020, dockless vehicle means any wheeled device other than an automobile or motorcycle that is powered by a motor. So the OFO bicycles and the line bicycles would not fall under the definition of dockless vehicles. Is there anything we can do to clarify that?
Mr. Goebel, we were going to bring that up before the motion was made, but we would recommend that definition include the addition of two words. I'll read what the definition we would recommend say. any wheeled vehicle other than an automobile or motorcycle that is powered by a person or a motor. I think by adding person or allows us to regulate a Lime bike or an OFO or any other of those bicycles.
That works for me because those are really some of the problems, and we're trying to distinguish them from ordinary bicycles, which aren't for commercial use.
Perfect. So Mr. Goblad, when someone does make the motion, I would recommend that addition be reflected in that motion.
Sounds good. Bob?
How about a motorized wheelchair? You didn't put that in there. We'd have to exclude them.
Well, until right now, this is focusing on a dockless. So
Okay.
Until there are a company that has randomly scattered around the city wheelchairs, we'll have to regulate that at some point. But this wouldn't apply. But there are certain rules and regulations that apply to those vehicles as well.
Okay. Any other discussion? Somebody like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve item 19 to introduce the next ordinance in order approving amendments to the municipal code with the caveat of adding the extra two words powered by a person or a motor to the definition of section 9.42020A.
Second.
Do you have a question, Gary?
Oh, I have a comment.
Gary has a comment.
Yeah, I would like to thank the speaker for expressing his frustrations with the dockless vehicles. I see them strewn out all the time on the intersections, and right where the people that would have the wheelchairs or would come down there on crutches. So I think it's a terrible danger to our citizens. So thank you, sir, for coming in.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote. And with your permission, I'll recite the title. An ordinance amending titles 1, 9, 10, and 12, and adding a new chapter, 10.26, to the El Cajon Municipal Code addressing dockless vehicles.
All right. Item 20 is for the selection of a mayor pro tem. I'd like to ask staff to introduce this item, please.
Mayor, typically at the December meeting, the City Council selects a mayor pro tem for a 12-month period, and our current mayor pro tem is Councilmember Kendrick.
All right, Council, any questions or comments? Angela, do you have any speaker cards on this item?
No card, sir.
All right, so open for discussion. I'd like to make my recommendation, open it for discussion. I think Mr. Goebel would be a fine mayor pro tem, and he's doing a lot for the community right now, and I'd like to see that happen.
Second. If that's a motion.
Sir, I want to make sure everybody has a chance for discussion if they want to discuss anything else, but yes.
I think that Steve Goebel would be great as mayor pro tem.
Okay, then I'll make that motion if somebody would like to second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, congratulations, Mr. Goebel. All right. Item 21 is in regards to cafeteria benefits review for the City Council. Staff to introduce this item.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, the City Council typically receives the same amount of health insurance benefits as the city employees. And as you may know, the city employees, as part of an MOU agreement, will have an increase in their cafeteria plan from $1,000 per month to $1,150 starting in January 2019. In order for the City Council to follow the tradition that we have maintained for these years, staff would recommend that the City Council adopt the next resolution in order to increase the monthly allotment for health insurance to $1,150 per month.
Thanks, Graham. Any questions, Council? Angela, any speaker cards?
No card, sir.
Any further discussion? I make a motion to adopt the item.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Item 22 is a request to amend the budget for the East County Performing Arts Center. Staff, will you please tell us about this?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. As you know, over the past year, City Council has taken several actions, all of which are moving towards the reopening of the East County Performing Arts Center. For example, on December 2017, City Council approved a management agreement with Live Nation to operate ECPAC when it was reopened. In January of this year, the City Council approved an agreement retaining Architects RCHS to provide architectural services. And in May 2018, the City Council approved an agreement with Wieland to provide construction management services. All of those things have been ongoing since December, the first action in December 2017. Over the course of the past spring and summer, an internal committee comprised of staff, the construction management firm, and the architects have been creating a redesigned, state-of-the-art ECPAC. It has become clear that the original project budget is insufficient for accomplishing the necessary improvements. The council originally allocated $6.3 million for the project, and this includes three areas that I just want to touch on. The first cost estimate was for the heating and ventilation air conditioning system, HVAC. We started with a working assumption of approximately $1 million. It has become clear when we examined the existing system that a full system replacement would be necessary. After receiving bids for that, it came back that the total replacement for the HVAC system would be approximately $2.5 million, or about $1.4 million over the original working estimate. The second issue involved the standing metal seamed roof. You'll recall that the City Council and City staff had fixed the flat portion of the roof several years ago, but the standing metal seamed roof remained the same, intact. However, it has been discovered upon inspection that it's been breached in several places, again, due to the overall age of the building. So staff is recommending that we add that to the project budget at a cost of approximately $280,000. The third area was the project contingency, and we began our budget by setting aside a 7% contingency for unanticipated costs. As we've already discovered, there have been unanticipated structural deficiencies, additional unanticipated items, and so what we're recommending is to move to the industry standard of a 10% contingency. That would bring the that would bring the total project contingency up to $772,000. So the total estimated cost of the three items I've just described is approximately $2.4 million. There's $605,000 currently unencumbered in the budget, and so we are coming to you today to make an overall funding request of $1.85 million from the general fund that we anticipate will complete the project. And at this point, I'll be happy to answer any questions for you.
Thank you. Any questions of staff? Angela, do we have any speaker cards on this item?
We have one speaker, and it is Stephanie Harper.
Okay. I'm so happy that this is actually getting off the ground. It's so wonderful. But my question was, and I used to tell Doug all the time, where's this money going? Why are we allotting so much money? He said, we're putting it aside. We're putting it aside, he kept telling me. So just to give you a quick rundown, on our fiscal year budgets for the year 2010 to 2011, we allocated $750,000 for the EPAC. 2011 to 2012, $3,550,000. And just to let you know, all of my information I did get off of our website. They are from our meetings. They are from the budget. So I'm not just making it up. The 2012 to 2013, I think all we did was administrative costs, which was like $42,780. 2013 to 14, $2,850,000. 2014 to 2015 was about $219,000. Then 2015 to 2016 was $3,850,000. 2016 to 17, $3,183,000, and I'm sorry, $3,183,000. So basically, and this year was $920,000. Basically, to just put it all together, we should have set aside $15 million to do the EPAC Center. So I'm kind of wondering what's this coming from. And I have let's see, from the meeting of November 9th, 2010, regarding the EPAC Center, it said no general funding money will be involved in this project. And then 2 years later, in the 2013-2014 budget of the $2,850,000, it was general funding. So if we haven't been using this money for anything, it's been kept set aside, why are we needing, and I'm not against the project. I think it's awesome. You know, I want to get it open. But what I'm worried about is that all this money that we've been putting aside hasn't been put aside. So where is it all gone?
So I think the concept is that supposedly we've set aside $15 million, and that money's no longer there. Can you address that?
Certainly. So over the years, we've budgeted amounts of money for this project. So let's say 3 years ago, we budgeted $3 million. Well, we have not done $3 million worth of improvement. So it would be more effective to look at what we spent over the last 5 years than what was budgeted for, because if we budget, say, $3 million a year ago and we spend none of that, that $3 million will show up again in next year's budget. That doesn't mean we spent $3 million or set aside an additional $3 million. It's just a continual carryover of that budget.
It's accounting. So, yeah, we can get the I don't think that you have the specifics of how much money we spent on the project so far, right? Do you?
Sure, yes. Exhibit A on the staff report shows the council approved the 6.3, and then you can see the various services that have been expended to date. The unencumbered balance is $605,326 presently.
Okay. So
everything else beyond that has been committed.
And yet you're asking for an additional...
The 1.85.
1.85. So all in all, the project's going to end up being around $8.5 million.
I totally understand that. So what I'm saying is that it's from 2010 to now, we've been putting aside money.
I understand your confusion. It's an accounting way of looking at it. They set money aside. They didn't spend it. That money went back into the fund. It got re-budgeted the next year. So it was money that was never. It wasn't the money that was taken and spent. It was money that was set aside for that year, not spent, then reabsorbed back into the budget and set aside the next year that might had not spent. So at this point, we finally got to the point with the architects and the management company that we were able to spend all that money. So what Graham was saying is the most important number is how much has been spent on the project. Right now, we're about $650,000 short of having spent $6 million.
We've spent about, we've committed and are in the process of spending about $5.7 million to date.
And because the air conditioning system is going to be so much more expensive than we had thought, and because we don't want to go half measures at this point, since we're investing so much in this, and Live Nation wants it to not be a hot summer day in August and have the air conditioning go out. So we collectively made a decision that it was prudent to go ahead and spend the extra money. And that's what we're deciding today. If the council agrees today, then
I think it's totally worth it. Yeah. It's worth spending the money. What I'm saying is that maybe this is a lesson for the city, because I can see on different ones that were from a long time ago when we wanted to do it in 2013, 2010, it was a lot less expensive than it is right now. Maybe we should have put the effort out a little bit more, because we had architectural services. We had Swanson's company come in and do a whole big old thing with it. I think that was just kind of to suffice people. But if we would have put the money and invested it then we wouldn't be having to fork out so much money now. So maybe this is a good lesson learned for the city.
Perhaps.
Thank you.
Bill? Yes. Gary?
Stephanie, I just have one more explanation for you. I've been a real estate appraiser for 34 years, and I get involved with a lot of things have to do with renovations, and I've renovated buildings myself, and you never know what you're going to get when you open up a wall. You go, oh my gosh, there's all sorts of mold in here. It's going to cost me $50,000. And so in this case, they open up the walls and they look at the air conditioning system and the ventilation system, and they go, oh my gosh, this is all ready to fall apart. There's no way you're going to know until you actually open up the walls. And I agree with you. We've got so much money. We've already got invested in it, and everybody wants that performing arts center open, and we're 90% of the way there.
So maybe we should take this as a project that we don't cut corners on, like when we did the roof on there. If we would have done the whole entire roof and put it on new, we wouldn't be seeing the new seams that just came up and things like that. So maybe we should start investing in those things that are going to bring back money into the city and not cut corners with it, and just make it the best and the most technological that we possibly can and make El Cajon shine for something. And that would be an awesome thing.
I think we've achieved something here today. You and I and the rest, we all agree on the same thing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. It's a good day.
Not only that, when you only have rain about every third year, you don't know where you're going to have your leaks or your problems until you have a downpour.
All right. Angela, any other speaker cards?
No more cards, sir.
All right. Then, Council, any discussion on this? Steve?
If I remember from your chart, Mr. Mayor, earlier, last fiscal year, our revenues were $6.6 million higher than our expenses. So I kind of look at this $1.85 million coming out of a $6 million overage, in a sense. It's not like we're having to sacrifice.
Well, especially since it's a one-time expenditure and not an ongoing expenditure.
And this is a jewel for our city, so I look at this as an economic development investment. If we build a fantastic facility that is a regional destination, a regional attraction, it will do tremendous value to bring in people from across Southern California for our businesses here in El Cajon, and that's a great investment.
Anybody like to make a motion then?
I'll make a motion that we transfer and appropriate $1.85 million from the general fund carryover reserve to the City Capital Improvement Program Fund, and that we increase the ECPAC improvements project by $1.85 million to $8.2 million.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by a 4-0 vote with Councilmember Kalasho abstaining.
All right. There are no commission reports today. Item 23 is my activities report. And there is one change. I did not attend the Toys for Joy rally on Saturday as I was flying back from Seattle. Other than that, is as reported. Councilmember Kendrick.
As reported.
Councilmember McClellan.
As reported.
Councilmember Kalasho. Mayor Pro Tem Steve Goebel.
As reported, with the exception, I did not make it to the chamber breakfast Friday morning.
Item 28 is a joint councilmember report from Mayor Pro Tem Kendrick and Mayor Pro Tem Goebel. Gentlemen, will you please tell us about this?
Mayor and Council, the San Diego Union Tribune had an article last month about the Southwest Key facility at roughly Broadway and Oro Street in El Cajon. And what concerned me the most was the report in the article that the number of calls for service to our police department, including 7 for runaways, but only 3 were reported as required to the state of California. I think we would all ask what happened to the other 4, and we don't know. The city doesn't have any authority over operations. They operate by right under the zoning. So I guess what I would like to do, though, is just find out more information. And so I'm asking the council to approve city staff to meet with a local director to find out the understanding of what is going on there in response to specifically the items raised in the article. And also that we would prepare a letter from the city council to the California Department of Social Services and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, informing them of these inconsistencies and asking if they're in compliance with all state license and federal contracting laws. These are our children, and it does affect our community. It does affect the police that they reported had, I believe, 20 calls for service, 7 of them for runaways. And so it does have an impact on our community. My purpose in this item is solely to ask for more information and to alert those who have oversight that we're interested in that everybody is complying with the law, especially when it comes to minors.
Sounds like a great idea. Any other thoughts?
Well, I want to give Councilman Goebel credit for this. He's the one that called me and asked about my opinion. And I agree completely with him. The primary purpose of local government is protection of the citizens, even those that are undocumented. So I think it's important we let the proper authorities know what's going on there and that they look at this very carefully and make sure everyone is safe.
All right. See if there's any speaker cards of this item.
We have 4 speakers. The first one is Anna Babudar.
Hello, welcome.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Anna Babudar. I'm actually the program director for Southwest Key Programs here in San Diego. And I am here as a courtesy from our nonprofit organization and our regional directors that are also present to invite you guys definitely to do a tour of our facility to get the appropriate approvals through the Office of Refugee and Resettlement, and we can meet hopefully in the near future and be transparent in the work that we do, and for you guys to understand the limitations in the work that we do with California state licensing. We're also monitored by the Office of Refugee and Resettlement as a federal agency for them that we're granted through, and we're monitored internally by Southwest Key Programs. So we actually met with state licensing earlier this year, and we were not cited for any of our reporting issues. We hold 3 licenses in San Diego, and we do all our reporting accordingly to them, as well as to all the other agencies that we report to. So we've been in the city of El Cajon since February of 2016. And, you know, we have great community members. We have people that are outside our facility since this summer that have been not necessarily protesters, but more of there for the kids as well. And we have good relationships with our business neighbors as well. So I welcome you to for us to schedule that meeting and for us to get the appropriate approvals from the Office of Refugee and Resettlement for you guys to come on board and do a tour of our facility.
I'd like that. Thank you.
Do you guys have any questions for me at this time?
Ben?
Not a question, but I'd like to take the tour. If you can call, let me give you the number. Or call here, or somebody will direct you to the office, or I can give you my cell.
Okay. Yes. I can find your information and I can send
Give it to you now.
Okay, go ahead.
619-244-6220. 244-6220.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
No. Thank you for coming. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Sebi Sebastian.
Mr. Sebastian, welcome.
Good afternoon. My name is Sebi Sebastian. I'm here in my role as the Regional Executive Director of one of the Regional Executive Directors of Southwest Key Programs. As some of you know, we have had a shelter program for immigrant minors in El Cajon for several years. We are grateful to the city for the support we received all these years. Recently, there were some concerns about the operation of our program, how it is being managed. We are a licensed group home under California Community Care Licensing, and the analysts visit our program unannounced or announced, as well as the federal ORR monitors visit our program unannounced or announced. They look at our files, they look at our operations. They have very strict rules in terms of how we operate, and all the children, if they are unaware, they are reported to the public safety, and we don't follow up with them where they went. If they are ever found, then ICE or Border Patrol will take care of them. We don't bring them back to the shelter. That is what happens. And we welcome any of the council members to visit our program, to see our operation, how we do. You are most welcome. Please contact Anna, and she will be able to arrange that visit.
Let me see if there are any questions. Gentlemen? Oh, thank you for coming, though, sir.
Thank you.
Ismael Aviles.
Hello and good afternoon. Just more along the same line, I am an administrator with Southwest Key. We've been in operation in El Cajon for the last 2 years, but we've also been in the unincorporated area of El Cajon for over 20 years. We're, on the border of Alpine, Santee, where we're under the San Diego County jurisdiction. So we're not a new organization. We've been around for quite some time, and we also have another one in Lemon Grove. We have a pretty stellar record. The information that you saw on the news, unfortunately, only got half of the story, but we would love to have the opportunity to be able to explain exactly what was in that report. And as Ana had mentioned earlier, we were not cited. So I think that exemplifies the fact that, it was not necessarily a violation, but what we saw as a clerical issue in terms of the 3 locations, they were looking at different locations, and it was a filing issue. But again, we opened the invitation for all of you to go see the facility. We have a really outstanding organization, a stand-up facility, which I think it behooves all of us to have that type of communication and open dialogue, particularly in these times when the whole question of migrants and immigration is a hot topic. I think that we all should be on the same page, and you all have a direct relationship with us rather than, hearing information through the media and so forth. Okay? So thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting every one of you.
Let me see if there's any questions. Questions? Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
2 more speakers, sir. Bonnie Price.
Hi, Bonnie.
Thank you for putting this on the agenda. When we brought, pardon me, I can't stand air conditioning. When we brought this idea forward about Southwest Key some time ago, the federal government was supposedly contracting with Southwest Key and other providers throughout the country to take care of children who were separated at the border when their parents were seeking asylum, or these children came alone because it was too dangerous for them to stay where they lived. When we brought this forward to the council said, basically, there's nothing you can do about it. It's a federal issue. And I contacted Representative Susan Davis. She, Nancy Pelosi, and Juan Vargas made local area inspections. They're very concerned about this. I'm concerned on a national scale. The Department of Homeland Security has said it's not their problem, that the people who are hired are not vetted properly, and it's not their responsibility to vet. And if kids are in there and running away, who knows why they're running away except they don't want to be imprisoned. Who wouldn't want to run away? But if you're abused, you're developing some hatred for the country that you're trying to escape to, or that you have escaped to. So it's very important that there be inspection constantly to make sure that people are not being harmed. And I'm grateful that the local Southwest Key facility is willing to have people come and oversee what they're doing. I think this is a move that should be made nationwide. Southwest Key is making millions, if not $1 billion, on this kind of operation. In some places, they're charging $700 a night per inhabitant. And that would get you a pretty good room in a 5-star hotel, wouldn't it? So thank you for bringing this forward. And I urge all of you to take up the opportunity to visit, and maybe you could even get Duncan Hunter to show up. Thank you.
Last speaker, Jim Sirigliano.
Just real quickly, I want to thank you for bringing this up, Councilman. And I just want to give a shout out to a gentleman that spoke to this about 4 or 5 meetings ago, David Chenoweth. And I'm glad to see that there's finally some follow-up on this here. I've been trying to contact him, and I don't know why, but I can't get hold of him at all. I hope he's well, but he was the first gentleman to bring this subject up. And I just wanted to give him the kudos for that also.
Thank you. Okay. Brings us back to council. Again, Mr. Goebel, you wanted us to... You want to make a motion? Can you explain?
Just one last comment from my perspective. If you've ever served on jury service, During each break, a judge will tell you, please don't form any conclusions, discuss the case, or have any opinions until you've heard all the evidence before you. So this is one of those things. We welcome Southwest Key for appearing today. We're glad to see that you have come. We would like to know the rest of the story. So I'm glad to see you, and I caution all of us to be careful until we have more information so we reach a fact-based conclusion rather than perhaps an emotional-based conclusion. So I welcome city staff to meet with Southwest Key and to continue the discussion. As Ms. Price said earlier, it's about relationships, relationships, relationships. So I'd like to make a motion to direct the staff to meet with the local director and to prepare the letter as described.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right. There are no general information items for discussion and no first readings of ordinances. Item 30 is the second reading of an adoption of an ordinance amending the El Cajon Municipal Code regulating vending on city sidewalks. I will ask the city clerk to read the title, but first, Angela, are there any speaker cards for this item?
No cards, sir.
Then would you please recite the title?
An ordinance amending Title 12 of the El Cajon Municipal Code to amend Section 2.56.030 of Chapter 2.56 of the El Cajon Municipal Code and to add Chapter 12.06 to the El Cajon Municipal Code regarding vending on city sidewalks and pedestrian pathways.
Somebody be willing to make a motion?
So move. Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
All right, we are now at closed session. We have one item on the agenda. Mr. City Attorney, would you please recite the title and lead us into closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. This item is a closed session for a conference with legal counsel on existing litigation pursuant to paragraph 1 of subdivision D of Government Code section 54956.9. The name of the case is Christine Greer versus City of El Cajon, and the case number is as described in the agenda.
I'd like to make a motion then to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Please vote.
Motion carries by unanimous vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back in a few minutes to conclude the meeting. Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're now back from closed session, and I'm going to give it to the city attorney to report on the actions taken in the closed session.
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council met in closed session for a conference with legal counsel on existing litigation as previously described. No action was taken in that closed session.
Thank you, sir. This brings us to adjournment. The regular joint meeting of the El Cajon City Council, El Cajon Housing Authority, held this 11th day of December 2018, is adjourned till Tuesday, January 8th, 2019, at 3 o'clock p.m. Thank you very much.